Hello and welcome back to Markets at Noon. Let's welcome in a very special guest now, Tech Wabag. You don't get to see them on TV generally. They declared their numbers. The management is now with us. So what was the key driver for the Q4 performance uptick? Can you just talk to us about that?
I think one of the key things is that we had a very, very strong order backlog. And when we look at the last fiscal year, probably we had planned a better March than what we have delivered. It's definitely better than our last quarter FY19, but we had planned. And as far as March is concerned, I think we definitely, lost around a couple of weeks. But I think given the COVID scenario, we believe that we still delivered a good set of numbers. Now, as far as improvement of margins is concerned, if you see, the total cost of operations is something which we have been focused on. And we have been continuously, it's been our endeavor to control that. And if you see, there has been a 10% reduction in the TCO. So that's one of the major contributors which has helped our margins. Yes, there's definitely a one-time gain on disinvestment, which is around 19.3 crores. But even if we don't consider the disinvestment factor, I think we have still improved our EBITDA margins by 1.1% over the last quarter and around 2.6% for the entire year. So I think basically it's the cost of operations is something where we were focused and we have tried to bring it down. The other factor is that we have been focused on the collections. I think that's something where the entire management focus has been, and we have definitely been able to improve upon our collections.
What were the key orders that the company is looking at? The total orders are 11,000 crores order book, which is almost 2.5 to 3 times of last year's order book that you have.
I think as far as our order book is concerned, I think it was a breakthrough year. We got one city, one operator, which is close to a 1,500 crore order for our operations and maintenance for Agra and Ghaziabad. So that is something which is reflected in, increase in our service revenue. On the other hand, we were very successful with our Namami Gange projects. If you see, we had the biggest project so far in Namami Gange is Digha Kankarbagh, which was awarded to us, apart from other projects like Kanpur CETP. We have been doing a HMD, which is Kolkata. And when I look at overseas, I think we had some major breakthroughs in our Middle East, which was in Tunisia, in Marafik, this thing. So total order book stood at over 4,300 crore. And going forward, as you yourself mentioned, that probably our turnaround time is around 3 years for all these orders. But in our current order book, the most heartening factor is that our service order book, which is our O&M order book, that is almost reflecting at around 30%. So we feel that going forward, our order book of O&M, the revenue will be reflected in coming year, and definitely our O&M business has a better margin compared to our EPC, so that should reflect in this thing. Now, how much we can execute in the current year? All I can say is that, since we have this EPC, our O&M business is not affected at all. It's operating at 100%. There is no reduction even during the COVID period. But as far as our EPC business is concerned, we have been, it's engineering and procurement, if any project is at that particular stage, I think even working from home, our engineers have delivered their best. But only as far as construction is concerned, it came to almost a standstill in a lot of sites. Some sites it was on a very low mode. And going forward also, as long as we don't see a clear picture in terms of the global pandemic, it would be very, very difficult to hazard a guess that how much we can execute.
Well, sir, in terms of profitability, which are the key projects that delivered better margins with better payment terms this quarter?
I think most of our projects, if you see currently 95% of our order book, it is all either, there's a sovereign funding or it is multilateral funding. So we don't foresee, it's all, based on the milestones. But when I look at the verticals, we find that definitely our overseas projects and our industrial projects, given the past experience, the cash flows are definitely better.
What is the update on big HAM projects in the pipeline? Do you see that as the way ahead?
I think we are almost at the final stage of achieving our financial closure for for our Kolkata project. And as far as our other HAM project is concerned, which is in Bihar, which we hope that we will be able to achieve the financial closure in the next 3 months. And regarding the execution part, I think once the financial closure is achieved, we are already geared up to pace up the execution. And as far as one of our biggest order is concerned, which is Diga Kankarabagh of Bihar under HAM projects, a major portion, which is 900 crore plus, is on a DBO basis, and only around 240 crores is on the HAM portion. So I think the progress on that DBO portion will also be very, very fast once we commence our execution.
What is the outlook for growth? Given the challenges of COVID this year, how has COVID impacted your business?
As far as COVID is concerned, I think I'm sure you would have seen, how much it has been advocated for, washing hands with soap for 20 seconds. And the prerequisite is water. So I think water will be a focal point, because if we all the governments, not only in India, even elsewhere, wherever we operate, the major focus is today on health and hygiene. And water is an integral part of that, water as well as sanitation. So we feel that maybe not in the near term, but in the midterm, we find that the government spending on the infrastructure for water and sanitation will definitely, look up. And as far as industrial segment is concerned, we realize today that barring very few projects, there is almost a standstill as far as further capex is concerned. But our own assessment is maybe 6 months down the line, I think probably the things will change once we have a solution to this pandemic and the vaccine is available, vaccinations are on. Probably that's something we can look at upside as far as industrial projects are concerned. But wherever some projects were already planned, I think the tenders should come very soon.
Okay, so order book is clearly not the issue, but let's talk about upcoming tenders. Do you see a slowdown in project proposals from various ministries and governments?
Well, I think there has definitely been a delay of almost 4 to 5 months in the upcoming tenders. And our own assessment is probably we could see some of the tenders coming up sometimes in September or October, which were planned in the first quarter by various governments and municipal authorities and industries. So going forward, as you rightly said, today our concern is not getting further orders. But yes, if we find that there are orders where our payment is secure, where our cash flows are good, and it can help us improve our overall margin on the order book, these are the orders we will be targeting, and we are quite hopeful that once a few of them will definitely bring this year also.
What kind of performance has VATech had, in the recently concluded quarter, which was, of course, marred by the lockdown? I mean, what sort of disruption did you see to business?
Okay, as far as this current quarter is concerned, you're referring to the Q1, right? So as far as Q1 is concerned, I think as far as our O&M operations are concerned, which contributes a little over 20% of our revenue, I think we are well on track. There is no dip in that. As far as EPC is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, wherever engineering and procurement was there, I think that will keep on. First 2 months have really impacted our construction activity at sites. And probably we have just resumed that activity in the June as far as construction is concerned. That is as far as India is concerned. Overseas, like in Europe, there were a lot of geographies where, we never had the impact of the lockdown in terms of stoppage of work. Similarly, in Middle East, I think they resumed the construction activity after, incorporating the new norms of social distancing and reducing the number of people per shift. So even in our construction sites where we were doing one shift to probably today we are doing 3 shifts to achieve the same amount of progress as far as projects are concerned. So I think it will definitely have an impact in the first quarter, but it is very difficult since we are widely spread out. We are still in the process of consolidating all the information, and maybe next time we interact, we'll be able to give you the exact numbers.